I remember that morning like it was yesterday. It was supposed to be special. 7 years. 7 years of marriage to Sarah, the woman I thought was my forever. I stood in our garage holding 2 dozen red roses, my heart racing with excitement. I had cut my business trip to Houston short just to surprise her on our anniversary. But as I stepped into our house, I heard laughter drifting down from our bedroom upstairs. Sarah's laugh, and someone else's. A man's. My hands trembled as the roses slipped from my grip petals, scattering across the cold concrete floor. What I saw when I pushed open that bedroom door turned 7 years of my life into ash in 30 seconds. Before I tell you how I turned the tables on my cheating wife and her lover, I would love to know where are you watching this from. Drop your city in the comments below. And if you have ever felt betrayed by someone you trusted, hit that like button and subscribe, because this story might just give you the closure you need. Now let me take you back to that morning. My name is Allan. I am 30 years old, a software engineer at a tech company in Austin, Texas. Life was good. Really good. Sarah and I had what everyone called the perfect marriage. We met in college, fell in love over late-night study sessions and cheap pizza, and built a life together that I thought was unshakable. Sarah was 28, a marketing manager at an interior design firm. We lived in a quiet suburb with a white picket fence and 2 golden retrievers named Max and Bella. Our combined income was comfortable. We were saving for a bigger house, planning to start a family the following year. Every morning I would leave for work at 7, come home around 6 to find Sarah cooking dinner or working on her laptop. Weekends were for hiking, cooking together, binge-watching shows on the couch. Our friends envied us. We were a couple goals, they said. That week, I had planned everything perfectly for our anniversary. I booked a table at Carmelo's, the Italian restaurant, where I proposed to her 3 years into our relationship. I spent 3 months of salary on a delicate diamond necklace that I knew she would love, and I decided to come home early from my Houston trip to surprise her. On my way from the airport, I stopped at her favorite flower shop and bought 2 dozen red roses. I could not wait to see her face light up. When I pulled into our driveway at 2 in the afternoon, I noticed a black Audi A4 parked where Sarah usually parked her car. I did not recognize it, but I figured maybe it was a client. Sarah sometimes met clients at home. I grabbed the roses and walked to the front door, my heart full of anticipation. The house was eerily quiet. Max and Bella did not come running to greet me like they always did. That was strange. I called out, "Sarah, honey, I am home early." No response. Then I heard it. Laughter, coming from upstairs. Sarah's voice bright and playful, and a man's voice deep and unfamiliar. My stomach tightened. I told myself it was nothing. Probably a colleague. They were probably discussing a project. But the way they laughed, it was too intimate, too familiar. I climbed the stairs slowly, each step feeling heavier than the last. The roses in my hand suddenly felt like dead weight. Our bedroom door was slightly open. I could hear Sarah's voice clearly now. "Kyle, we should not. What if Allan comes home early?" A man's voice responded, "You said he is in Houston till tomorrow. Relax, babe." My heart stopped. Babe. She let him call her babe. My hand pushed the door open. What I saw in that moment shattered everything I thought I knew. Sarah and a man I had never seen before were in our bed. Our bed. The bed we had picked out together at that furniture store, laughing over whether to get firm or plush. Their clothes were scattered across the floor. 2 wine glasses sat on the nightstand. The bottle. It was the vintage Bordeaux I had been saving for a special occasion. This man Kyle was tall, maybe 6'2", with blonde hair and tattoos covering his arms. He looked like every cliché of a bad boy. And Sarah was wearing his shirt, her hair messy, her face flushed. Time froze. All 3 of us just stared. The roses slipped from my hand and hit the hardwood floor with a soft thud, petals exploding like tiny red bombs. Sarah screamed, "Allan, I can explain!" Kyle scrambled for his jeans. I just stood there. I could not move. I could not breathe. My ears rang, my vision tunneled. All I could see was Sarah's face, the face I had kissed goodnight for 7 years, The face I thought I would grow old with looking at me like a stranger caught in a crime. I felt nothing, not anger, thing, not, not sadness, just emptiness. A hollow void where my heart used to be. I looked at Sarah, really looked at her, and I did not recognize the woman staring back at me. "Baby, please," she stammered, clutching the bedsheet around her. "Let me explain. This is not what it looks like." I finally found my voice. It came out cold flat like someone else was speaking through me. "Not what it looks like on our anniversary in our bed." Kyle tried to interject, "Look, man, I did not know she was—" I cut him off. "Get out, both of you, now." Sarah's eyes widened. "This is my house, too. You cannot just out." I roared. The sound of my own voice startled me. I never yelled, not at Sarah, not at anyone, but something inside me had snapped. Sarah flinched. Kyle grabbed his clothes and bolted past me without another word. Sarah scrambled out of bed, throwing on a robe, tears streaming down her face. "Allan, please, we need to talk about this." But I was already walking away, down the stairs, past the roses scattered on the bedroom floor, out to my car. Sarah chased me into the driveway, barefoot, sobbing. "Please do not leave. We can work through this." I got in my car, started the engine, and drove. I did not know where I was going. I just drove. My phone buzzed incessantly, call after call from Sarah. I did not answer. I could not. I drove until I found myself outside Jake's apartment. Jake had been my best friend since college. He was single, living in a loft downtown. I sat in my car for 20 minutes before I finally went up and knocked on his door. When Jake opened the door and saw my face, he knew. What happened? I told him everything, every detail, the flowers, the wine, Kyle, our bed. Jake's face turned red with rage. "I am going to kill him. I am going to drive over there right now and—" "No," I said quietly. "Just let me stay here tonight." Jake stepped aside and I collapsed onto his couch. That night I could not sleep. I lay there staring at the ceiling, my phone buzzing with messages from Sarah. Dozens of them. "Please talk to me. It was a mistake. I love you." I did not read them. I could not. The next few days blurred together. I called in sick to work, telling my boss I had a family emergency. Sarah kept calling. I blocked her number. Then she started using other people. Her mother, Linda, called me. "Allan, honey." "Sarah made a terrible mistake. She is devastated. Please give her a chance." I was polite but firm. "I am sorry, Linda. I cannot do this right now." Her father, Robert, tried too. "Son, do not rush into anything. Divorce is a big step." "I have thought about it," I replied. "This is the right decision." But I needed to know more. Who was Kyle? How long had this been going on? I logged into our shared laptop, the one Sarah sometimes used. Her Facebook was still open. I searched for Kyle Morrison. There he was. 32 years old. Personal trainer at Fusion Fitness, the gym. Sarah had joined 6 months ago. His Instagram was full of gym selfies, expensive cars, exotic vacations. I remembered when Sarah said she wanted to start working out. "I want to stay in shape for you, babe," she had said. I encouraged her. I even paid for her gym membership. 6 months. She had been going to that gym for 6 months. A sick feeling twisted in my gut. I drove to our house when I knew Sarah would be at work. I needed to get some of my things. While I was there, I searched her nightstand. That is when I found it. A hotel receipt, the Driscoll Hotel. 3 months ago. The same week I was in San Francisco for a work conference. The receipt showed a sweet champagne room service dinner for 2. My blood boiled. I took a photo of the receipt and texted it to Sarah. This was only 3 months ago. How long has this been going on? Within seconds, my phone rang. I hesitated, then answered. "Allan, please let me explain." Her voice was thick with tears. Explain what, how long, Sarah? She sobbed. 6 months. I am so sorry. It just happened. He made me feel what I demanded. Feel what I could not make you feel. No, you are perfect. I was stupid, selfish. Please come home. We can get through this. I need time, I said, and hung up. But time was not going to fix this. I knew that. Deep down, I had already made my decision. A week after I found them together, I made an appointment with Marcus Thompson, one of the best divorce attorneys in Austin. His office was on the 15th floor of a downtown high-rise, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Colorado River. Marcus was 45, sharply dressed with 20 years of experience in family law. I sat across from him and told him everything. He listened carefully, taking notes. When I finished, he looked up. Do you have evidence? I showed him the photos I had taken, the hotel receipt, the text messages where Sarah admitted to the affair. Marcus nodded. This is solid. In Texas, adultery can affect property division and spousal support. We can push for a very favorable settlement. I do not want her money, I said. I just want out. Clean. Fast. Marcus leaned back in his chair. Given the circumstances, we can make sure you keep the house and most of the assets. You will not owe her anything. We drafted the divorce papers. The house would stay with me since I had bought it with inheritance money from my grandparents. Our joint bank accounts would be split 50-50. I would not pay spousal support since she committed adultery. Sarah would have to move out within 30 days. Everything else would be divided fairly, but I wanted something more. Something that would make a statement. Normally, Marcus said, we would have a process server deliver the papers to her workplace or home. I shook my head. I want to do it differently. I want to serve her when she is with Kyle. Marcus raised an eyebrow. That is unusual. Are you sure? I am sure, I said. She humiliated me in my own home. It is only fair. I hired a private investigator to track Sarah's movements. Within a week, he reported back. Sarah was still seeing Kyle. Every Wednesday and Friday evening, she would go to the gym, and afterward she would go to Kyle's apartment. The pattern was consistent. I chose a Friday. Marcus, a process server named David, and I would go to the gym first, then to Kyle's place if needed. The days leading up to that Friday were strange. I felt a mix of anger, sadness, and something else. Determination. I went back to the house one more time to pack up Sarah's things that were still scattered around. I took off my wedding ring and put it in a drawer. I deleted all our photos together from my phone. It felt like I was burying a part of my life. The night before, I sat alone in Jake's living room with a glass of whiskey staring out at the city lights. I thought about the 7 years, the proposal, the wedding, all the promises we made. Where did it go wrong? But I also realized something important. I could not live with someone I could not trust. Tomorrow, I would end this, for good. Friday came. I put on a black suit and navy tie like I was going to an important meeting. In a way, I was. Marcus met me outside the gym at 6:15 in the evening. David, the process server, was with us. We had 2 sets of papers in brown envelopes. I knew Sarah and Kyle would be there. Through the glass windows of the gym, I could see them. Sarah was doing squats while Kyle stood behind her adjusting her form. They were laughing completely at ease. My stomach churned, but I kept my face neutral. We walked in. Sarah had her back to the door. I walked straight up to her. Sarah. She turned around and the color drained from her face. Allan, what are you doing here? Kyle stepped forward, trying to look protective. Dude, you need to leave. That is when I noticed it. The gold chain around Kyle's neck. It looked exactly like the one Sarah had given me for my birthday 2 years ago. I had wondered where it went. Now I knew. I laughed bitterly. Nice necklace. I used to have one just like that. I nodded at David. He stepped forward and handed Sarah a brown envelope. Sarah Anderson, you have been served. Her hands shook as she opened it. Divorce papers. Her face went white. Allan, no, please, we can fix this. And one more thing? I said. David turned to Kyle and handed him an envelope too. Kyle Morrison, you have also been served. Kyle looked confused. What? What is this? I smiled coldly. A lawsuit for intentional infliction of emotional distress and damage to my reputation. You knowingly engaged in a relationship with a married woman. That has consequences. Sarah dropped to her knees, right there in the middle of the gym. People around us stopped and stared. Some pulled out their phones. Allan, please do not do this. I made a mistake. I love you. I looked down at her, feeling nothing. You had your chance. 7 years of chances. You threw them away. Kyle tried to act tough. You cannot sue me for... Marcus stepped in. Actually, we can, and we will. You cost my client significant emotional harm. I suggest you get yourself a lawyer. I turned and walked out. Sarah ran after me, grabbing my arm. Please, do not leave me like this. I stopped and looked at her one last time. The woman I had loved for 7 years. The woman I thought I would grow old with. She was a stranger now. You left me the moment you chose him. This is just paperwork. I pulled my arm free and walked to the car with Marcus. In the rearview mirror, I saw Sarah collapse on the gym floor, sobbing. Kyle stood there, looking lost. I felt empty, but also relieved. The following weeks were brutal. Sarah called constantly. I kept her blocked. She came to Jake's apartment. I refused to see her. She sent long emails confessing everything, begging for another chance. I read one. Then I deleted it and never looked back. Her parents called too. Allan, please, Linda pleaded. Sarah made a mistake, but families can heal. I am sorry, Linda, I said gently. But the trust is gone. It cannot be repaired. Her father, Robert, tried a different approach. Think carefully, son. Divorce is permanent. I have thought about it, I assured him. This is what is best for both of us. Sarah even tried to use the house as leverage. One night she showed up there while I was picking up more of my belongings. This is still my home. You cannot kick me out, I called Marcus. He reminded Sarah of the temporary orders. She had 2 weeks to vacate or there would be a court order. She broke down. 7 years. 7 years of marriage and you are throwing it away over one mistake. It was not one mistake, I said quietly. It was a series of choices. Every day you chose to lie to me. Every day you chose him over me. 2 weeks later, my investigator told me something interesting. Kyle had blocked Sarah's number. He wanted nothing to do with the legal mess. Sarah had been abandoned by both of us. She called me one last time, her voice hollow. You were right. He never cared. I lost everything for nothing. I am sorry you had to learn it that way, I said, but that is not my problem anymore. The divorce was finalized 2 months later. Sarah did not contest it. She knew she had no ground to stand on. I kept the house. Our assets were divided fairly. Sarah moved in with her parents. Kyle settled the lawsuit for $15,000 to avoid a lengthy court battle. Justice, it seemed, had been served. But I felt exhausted, drained. Winning did not feel like I thought it would. It just felt like the end of something that should have lasted forever. 3 months after the divorce, I moved back into the house. Our house. My house now? But it was full of ghosts. Every corner held a memory of Sarah. The kitchen where we cooked together. The living room where we watched movies. The bedroom where I found her with him. I could not live like that. So I decided to make it mine. I repainted the walls, I bought new furniture. I turned the old bedroom into a home gym. New bed, new sheets, new everything. I did not want any reminders. Jake introduced me to a running club. Every Saturday morning I would meet up with a group of people and run through the trails around Lady Bird Lake. I met Travis, a high school teacher, Emma, a nurse, Luis, an architect. Good people. Real people. We became friends. I started cooking again, teaching myself new recipes from YouTube videos. I went from someone who could barely make pasta to someone who could grill a decent ribeye steak. Work became my refuge. I threw myself into my projects. 6 months after the divorce, I was promoted to senior software engineer. I led a new team, and we launched a product that exceeded all expectations. My salary increased by 30%. For the first time in months, I felt proud of myself, but the nights were still hard. That is when I started seeing Dr. Helen Carter, a therapist. She helped me understand that Sarah's betrayal was not about me. It was about her choices, her weaknesses. I had not failed. She had. I learned to forgive. Not Sarah, but myself. For all the times I wondered what I did wrong. For all the nights I replayed our relationship looking for signs I missed. Dr. Carter taught me that some people are just broken in ways you cannot fix. And that is okay. It is not your job to fix them. In the spring, I took my first solo trip. I drove to Colorado and hiked through the Rocky Mountains. Standing on top of a peak looking out at the endless sky, I felt something I had not felt in a year. Freedom. Peace. I heard through Jake that Sarah was struggling. She had moved back in with her parents. She lost her job after the scandal damaged the company's reputation. Kyle had moved on to someone new. Sarah tried reaching out to me a few more times over the year. I never responded. I did not feel angry anymore. I did not feel anything. She was just part of my past. A chapter that was closed. I am not going to lie and say I am completely healed. Some days are harder than others. Some nights I still wake up and reach for someone who is not there. But I am better, stronger. I have learned some hard truths. Trust is the foundation of everything. Once it breaks, you cannot glue it back together. Self-respect matters more than any relationship. You cannot stay somewhere you are not valued. Taking action even when it hurts is better than living in denial. Closure does not come from the other person. It comes from you. And you cannot control what people do. You can only control how you respond. I do not hate Sarah anymore. I do not hate Kyle. In a strange way, they did me a favor. They showed me the truth before it was too late. Before we had kids. Before I wasted more years. I am grateful for that. I am free now. Free to rebuild. Free to find someone who actually deserves me. And I will, when I am ready. But right now, I am focused on me, on my career, on my friends, on becoming the best version of myself. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you turns out to be the best thing. Losing Sarah was the hardest thing I have ever gone through, but it taught me something invaluable. I am enough. I always was. And anyone who cannot see that does not deserve a place in my life. If you are going through something similar, remember this. You deserve someone who chooses you. Every single day. Without hesitation. Without doubt. And if they cannot do that, then let them go. Because on the other side of that pain is a version of you that is stronger, wiser, and ready for something real. The question is not whether you can survive the betrayal. It is whether you are brave enough to choose yourself. So let me ask you, have you ever had to walk away from someone you loved because they broke your trust? How did you find the strength to move forward? Drop your answer in the comments below. I would love to hear your story. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Your support means the world. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps you find your own strength. Remember, you are worth more than someone's betrayal. Stay strong, stay true to yourself, and never settle for less than you deserve. Until next time, take care.